Hello, everybody. Welcome into a Wednesday edition of the Computer America Show. Mike Cermak is here with us for the first hour. It's an open mic night. We're talking about anything and everything. We're going to kind of focus, I think, on Windows 9, which
10.
Yes, doesn't exist anymore. So, we'll talk about that. Of course, in hour 2, Computer and Technology News, brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. So sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We'll be starting in about 1 minute.
I found it. It's not terapixel. It's 1.8 gigapixel.
Oh, come on. That's hardly anything then.
It's still pretty good. It let's see. Spy on Afghanistan from 20,000 feet in the air.
Until showtime.
20,000 feet in the air, and it can scan 25 square miles of ground surface.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want one of those above me.
They could be up there. You never know.
How many gigapixels?
1.8.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm assuming it's not uploading those images live.
I wonder what's going on. What do they have on the satellite cameras to take ground pictures?
No
Good
idea.
question.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I think this was the most powerful camera attached to a drone. I think, not a satellite.
I don't know of too many other cameras that are that powerful to begin with, whether or not they're on a drone.
10 seconds.
Of course, they don't want us to know, do they?
Your show will go live in 5, 4.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live. It's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology, interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello, and welcome into the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
Ben, hi, how are you? Long time.
Pretty good.
Yeah, what's going on?
Nada. I don't know. We keep meeting here at 10 o'clock every night.
I don't know.
Weirdest thing.
Yeah, it's just strange how that happens. You know, it's like clandestine meeting. But anyway, welcome into the show. And by the way, Fortress did that. Okay, good. Some activity going in the chat room, which I did not understand, but now I do. But anyway, as I said, it's a Wednesday edition of the Computer America Show, and we traditionally like to call that Wednesday Madness. That means the gang is all here, and that means anything you want to talk about when it comes to computers and technology, we open the phones. It's open mic night here with Mike Cermak, and whose website, techguy.org, is about helping people. Now, if you have a question for us, the best way to get that question is give us a call at 347-884-8881. That's 347-884-8881. 8881. I'll get you on and get you through. Email. Also, you can send us email. It's a special email inbox when we're live and on the air. It is live, L-I-V-E, at ComputerAmerica.com. You can also join us in our live interactive IRC chat room. What you do is you go to our homepage at ComputerAmerica.com, and you'll see there's a button that says right there under the Interact with Show. It says Live Video and Chat. Just click that, and you'll see on the left-hand side of that screen is our live IRC chat room. It asks for a nickname. That's the name you'll be known by when you go in there. And then there's a capture code, which is usually a 3-digit number or 2 words that just validates that you are a live human being and not a bot trying to pretend to be a human being. Click the connect button, and your browser will move you into the Computer America chat room. It's just that simple. If you want to make it a little fancier and you want to make it more elaborate, nicer formatting, we have these IRC clients. We have a button there that will take you to our free software page, and you can download any of them. We have like Chatzilla and HexChat. depending on the platform you're using and the browser you're using, I'm sure you can find one that just formats the chat room nicer, so it puts in its own little window. Just a nice little supplement, but you don't have to. But we suggest that you do. The other thing sharing that chat room page is our Live Computer America video streaming page, and that's brought to you by Other World Computing. Quality products, expert support since 1988. They're celebrating the 25th anniversary. It's the award-winning Other World Computing. They just won 2 Stevie Awards back in August, so congratulations to them. If you have any computing needs for your PC, for your Mac, for your PlayStation 4, for your Xbox One, you're looking for hard drives, a memory. If it plugs into your computer, you name it, they're going to have it at Other World Computing. Visit them at their website at www.macsales.com. I tell you this, anything you order that's over $49, 80% of the country, you're going to get your product in 2 days. Now that's very, very good. Any of your computing needs, you're looking for a numeric keypad for your Mac, they just got them. $49, beautiful keypad. All the products that you need, they'll have them at Other World Computing. Just go to their website at www.macsales.com. We have the link right there on our live video streaming page, Other World Computing. Just click on the hyperlink; it'll take you there. Other World Computing, for all your computing needs. Just go there. You'll be very happy that you did, and you'll thank us for it. macsales.com. So I think that's basically all the different ways that you can communicate. You can watch us. You can interact with us. Mike Cermak, I mentioned to you, is the owner-operator of TechGuy.org, which is a website dedicated to helping others with their computer problems and answering their questions. So if you're looking for free technical support, TechGuy.org is the right place for you to be. It's been around since 1996, and Mike's site is run completely by volunteers and paid for completely by donations and sponsors. Mike is also one of our Computer America correspondents who appears here on every first Wednesday of the month. Mike, welcome into Computer America. How the heck are you?
I'm doing great, Craig. How are you guys doing?
I have one question. What happened to September?
I know, right? I feel the same way.
Yeah, it's gone. I ask this question to Ben every month, and he just shrugs his shoulders.
I mean, I assume unless you're getting, drugged or knocked out, or I think Craig is big into the street fighting, so he spends a lot of his time blacked out. But I mean, it goes by the same speed.
Yeah, but there have been shows on Nova and the Science that technically, as you get older, time moves more quickly.
I think that's true. I think the theory behind that is that it's a smaller percent of your lifetime the older you are. If you're like Ben and you're only 14 years old, then 1 month is a big percentage of your life. Or if you're Craig and you're 100 years old, then 1 month is a very small percent. It's all relative.
I guess. So that puts you square in the middle, huh, Mike?
Yeah, I was just estimating. I might be off by a couple years, or I don't know.
No, it's from what I learned. It's not that. It's when you're developing, when you're younger, when you're learning, you develop more and more brain pathways, so whenever you remember something, it travels along that. And by the time you get older and you have a job and you go to the job for 30 years and you have the routine down and you know what you're doing, you know your favorite restaurants, you know your favorite car, you have a wife, you have a kid, you have a house, you're not learning that much anymore. So you're not creating new relays inside your brain. So so you fall into a routine, and when you get in a routine, it seems to go by faster. You can't peg a day that you didn't learn something new. So if you want to stay younger for longer, or at least you want your time to move slower, apparently, you are supposed to learn something new every day. Learn, because it kind of keeps the brain shifting and going, and you don't get into that routine that people fall into, and why you think after 25, 30 it starts going by in a blur. That's because you stop learning.
I learn something new every day.
That's the goal. You should try and learn something new every day.
I do the show every day. Just by doing the show, I learn something new.
I believe that. Absolutely.
Really? I mean, there's always new stuff to learn. And
Especially in this industry, there's always something changing.
Yes, which keeps it interesting, which is why I like it so much.
Me
I mean,
too. I agree with you.
It was always the same. It was just Windows, and there was no other, no Windows 4, no Windows 5, no Windows 7, just Windows.
No Windows 9. Oh, wait.
Yeah. There will be no Windows 9. At that point, but no, I mean, there's always new things. There's always new gadgets, and new computers, and new processors, and it really does keep you on your toes, and you have to stay on top of all this stuff. So, otherwise, I mean, you don't have to, but then again, you can't host a nationally syndicated radio talk show.
It does and it doesn't. I mean, knowing what a processor is and knowing that the latest processor can run at 5 gigahertz instead of 3 gigahertz as opposed to 3 years ago. I mean, that's not the same as learning what a processor is all over again. You know what I mean?
That's true. So you're saying we need different theories as well. But that happens somewhat in the gadgets. I mean, as they develop new types of technology, you learn about them, not just that they're better.
Yeah, and completely. But it's not just we're in technology, and technology is always changing, so we can stave off falling into a routine. You can totally fall into a routine. You can just know about the graphics cards, about the processors, about the cases, about the monitors, the resolution, all that good stuff. But I mean, it's getting into that whole slow down time thing. It's okay, you're into technology, maybe go learn something about archaeology, go learn something about the sciences, go learn something about the arts, go learn something. It's really keeping, do many disciplines. It's not just that one thing and, learn everything about that one thing.
Every night when we do computer and technology news, I learn something new from popular science. And so
I try to work as much science as I can into the show. It's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. That's it. Okay. And of course, we'll have an hour of computer technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities coming up in the second hour. But as I said, this hour, Mike Cermak here. So we did the story last night, Ben? I think it was last night where Microsoft announced there's going to be no Windows 9. Windows 9 will not be. How long have we been waiting? And breathlessly saying, "Oh, Windows 9, it's going to fix what was wrong with Windows 8 and 8.1, Windows 9," and we're chanting Windows 9, and then what do? They pull the rug out from all of us, and Microsoft says, "All right, no Windows 9, forget it." So there it is. That's the end of the chapter. Well, not quite. So they're going to come out with Windows 10.
It was kind of a surprise to everyone, I think. I mean, If they were not going to go with and first of all, if you look back at the history, we had Windows 1, Windows 2, Windows 3, Windows 3.1, and then Windows NT 4. It still at least had the number in it, and then all of a sudden, forget about that. Let's go to Windows ME, Windows Vista, Windows Windows 95, Windows 98. Go not even use the numbering scheme anymore, and then they switched back to Windows 7 and Windows 8.
Well, first it was Vista. Then they had Vista, and then which was called Longhorn, which was the code name, and then nobody liked that for many reasons. And then Windows 7 finally kept very solid operating system. Windows 7 great. Then Windows 8, they blew it sort of.
That's up for debate.
Yeah. Well, Windows 8.1 came out and fixed a lot of problems. Hey, it's not up for debate. If you talk to Mike Miller, which is not one of our guys, they blew it.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people would disagree, but it certainly was not popular. I'll definitely grant you that.
Okay, so
it made the traditional power users unhappy.
That's true.
Go with that.
Correct. I agree with that. And it made a lot of people uncomfortable. It was so different. People were not prepared for that much change, and it was, and that's happened frequently whenever there's been a major refresh to any kind of software. People know their way around WordPerfect 3, and you change everything around on them and put them in a new GUI, and until they get used to it, no one's happy. But it's and when you look at Windows 10, not to get ahead of ourselves too much, but it very much looks like Windows 8. I mean, they're not going that far away from where they were.
No. Well, supposedly, I mean, the big thing was they decried the fact that Windows 8 had no desktop. You were forced into this Metro operating system user interface, which power users couldn't stand. And so finally, after complaints and all the gnashing of teeth and pulling of hair, they came out with 8.1, which fixed a lot of the problems. It brought the desktop back to a certain extent. And of course, then with the advent of Windows 9, which now looks like is not going to happen, at least if it would sense the computer you're on. If you were on a desktop computer, you're going to open up into the desktop. If you're on a tablet, it would come up with the touch interface. It would kind of sense which computer. This is all the things. The start button was put back, but that also had some features of both, which was nice. But all these things looked like it was looking great, and then of course, for some reason, Microsoft said, is it just the name, or what is it? Why would they want to go to? Because Mac is OS 10. Maybe they want to be Windows 10. I'm trying to come up with all the theories as to why they wanted to. I mean, what's in the name? Okay, we could talk about the name, and it is just the name, but still.
It's important. Big deal, sure. Well, and there's a lot of theories behind it. Looking at the operating system, and I've downloaded it and installed it on my laptop, and we can talk about that in some detail. But looking at it, it feels more like Windows 8.2 to me. I mean, it looks and feels like Windows 8. It has some new features like the Start menu, which is greatly needed, and they did mess up by not having that originally. I understand why they didn't, and that's a whole other discussion. But they're finally bringing it back, and the way they did it is excellent. But it really doesn't feel like it even deserves to be a Windows 9. It feels like just an 8.2 to me, but much less to jump all the way to 10. And there's a lot of theories about why they did that. Of course, the dominant one right now, a lot of people are talking about today, is that in a lot of code, it checked to see if you were running Windows 95 or 98, which were very similar. A lot of programs would run the same way whether you were running 95 or 98. And to discover that, they ran a little piece of code saying if the operating system name starts with Windows 9, as in 95 or 98, then do this. And the difficulty would, come up that if you're running Windows 9, which the programmers, 20 years never would have imagined, then it's going to, count under that piece of code. And that's a possibility.
They only checked for so many characters. They wouldn't go past the 9.
You could go past that. I think part of it was laziness on the side of the programmers. Instead of saying if the operating system is Windows 95 or Windows 98, then do this. They just say, well, if it starts with Windows 9, because they didn't imagine there would be another operating system that starts with Windows 9.
That's like the one.
It's very much like the Y2K.
Yeah, that's what I say. These are the same people that kind of made the whole Y2K scare possible.
Yeah. Well, and it is to some degree. It's a little bit of laziness.
Anything?
It's the same time.
But they didn't imagine that would be the case. And, and there were some other variants in there, like you may remember there was a Windows 98 second edition that came out and other things like that. Or was that Windows 95 that had second edition? I think I'm mistaken. I think it was Windows 95 and Windows 95 second edition. I may have to look that up.
It all blends in, doesn't it?
Someone in the chat room will correct me. But in any event, one of them had a second edition, so that little piece of code would match that as well. So it's difficult to say whether that is actually the main reason they decided to make this Windows 10 instead of 9. It's a little hard for me to believe because most of the programs that use that bit of code that even care if you're running Windows 95 or 98 aren't really used anymore. I mean, how many people still run an application from 20 years ago? Some do, certainly.
But if you carry that mindset across, then when if you're still running Windows 1, it could instead of your Windows 10, it'll put you're running Windows 1. I mean,
and that's something that Microsoft is really good about is being backward compatible. If this were Apple, they would say, "Oh, the heck with it, you have to get all new applications now." But Microsoft is always trying to be backward compatible, almost to a fault. I would say that they really hesitate to go forward too far, for fear of not being able to be completely compatible with programs written 25 years ago, and so I don't know. We shall see. But so I'm not completely convinced that's the primary reason they skipped 9, but it's a good theory. I can definitely see some merit in it. And it was funny in the presentation they were playing with the audience a little bit, saying it's not going to be 8.2, it's not going to be Windows 9. Maybe we'll call it Windows 1 because they have the Xbox One and OneDrive. And they made a joke saying there was already a Windows 1 and showed a picture of Bill Gates. And so then they said it's going to be Windows 10. And he almost had to really convince the audience so he wasn't kidding this time. No, really, it really is going to be Windows 10. That we're done joking now. Like it was like, what the heck? What do you mean? At that point, you almost expect it to be a name again. Like the Vistas or the ME or the whatever.
I just saw a news story today saying that Bill Gates is still the richest man in America. Anyway, just a side note.
Yeah, I thought it was you. Maybe you're just second.
Nah, I wish. Uh, but no, so you think it was a Y2K naming thing, or you think?
I think that theory has a lot of merit to it. I can believe that was part of it. If that were the case, I would almost expect them to go away from numbers again and switch to names or something again. But I don't know. I'm not a marketing person. And the other thing is, for marketing, I think Windows 10 does have a little flair to it. People, like it. It's
maybe they should use the Roman numeral. It'd be Windows.
It feels new. Windows X.
Yeah,
like OS X. Yeah. I think maybe there's a copyright issue with that.
You think so? I don't know. You can't copyright a number.
Who knows? There's been all sorts of weird things copyrighted. I was just reading earlier, and I don't know if this is true, but I'm going to say it on the air as if it were, that the word couch potato is trademarked.
Well, yeah, that's possible.
I thought when a word has been adopted into the English language, you can no longer hold a copyright on it.
Like Kleenex?
Well, 10 has certainly been adopted into the English language, so I don't know how you can.
Although, so is Google, so that might.
Well, but Google is a different spelling of the word Google.
Googleplex, yes.
No, Google, you can find that in the dictionary.
It as a verb.
Yeah. It's a Google spelling.
Yeah, no, I meant as in Google, the search engine is based on the word Google, which is spelled Googol, which is one with 100 zeros after it, something like that, a giant number.
The whole thing is Googleplex, I think it is, rather than just the Google. But anyway, you're right. Yes, it is a different spelling, and so
but yeah, I understand what you're saying, to actually use Google as a verb, and that's part of the reason why a lot of these companies are so eager to sue anyone who uses the word very similar to their own, because they want to be able to defend that trademark. They don't want it to become common use like Kleenex, or I'm trying to think of other examples like that.
We're getting lots of examples in the chat room. Are we getting Windows closed?
Windows panes. That's good, Jonathan. I like that.
Or Windows EKS for X. Or Windows Panes, P-A-N-E-S.
Well, and someone posted a link in there. Jonathan posted a link in there about Windows 9 with a German spelling of 9, and that is something else I had heard mentioned also, is Windows 9 sounds like the word no in German, 9, which is why in aircraft and radios you say niner instead of 9, and that reminded me of the old Chevy Nova. I don't know if you've heard that story, but they had trouble selling the Chevy Nova in Latin American and Spanish-speaking countries, because Nova means doesn't go. Nova doesn't go. So
you could call it Windows 10er,
So, Windows 10 or Windows 9er. I think that works.
9er or 10er.
Well, and the other thing someone else mentioned, if the issue was with the code that looks for Windows 9X, they could have called it Windows 9 spelled out, Windows N-I-N-E, and that would avoid the a couple of those issues, including that matching issue. And so I don't know what the reason is. I personally believe it was more marketing than anything else. There may have been some other things that went into it, but I think marketing was the primary purpose.
Well, that was the article that we read yesterday, and it just the way it was written and what a lot of people have been saying, it was purely from a marketing standpoint, where that they didn't feel right about calling it Windows 9 because there was it's a completely new generation of Windows 10, and like when you say that, I'm thinking it looks a lot like Windows 7. There's gonna be elements from Windows 8. It's gonna be Windows through and through. But I mean, for them to say it's a completely different version of Windows, it sounds like Windows 10 was a marketing thing.
And the real telling thing on that is when you look at the kernel versions, every version of Windows has their marketing name, like Windows 95, and then there's the actual version. If you go into Windows and do a WinVer or ver, it shows you what version you're using. Like I'm using Windows Vista on this computer. We can discuss that issue later. And that's version 6.0 of Windows. And then Windows 7 is Windows 6.1, and Windows 8 is Windows 6.2, and Windows 8.1 is Windows 6.3. And Windows 10 is Windows 6.4. So I think that says a lot about the way the programmers are envisioning it. They don't see it as a whole new paradigm. They don't see it as important enough to even be a major version increase. It's just a minor version increase. So it really feels like it ought to be Windows 8.2, or maybe, to joke with some of the people in the chat room, it should be Windows 8.1 Second Edition.
Exactly. We got a whole bunch of calls, and that's usually a bad sign. But, I'll take one and see. This one supposedly is coming from Virginia. Computer America, Craig Crossman. Hey, caller. How can we help you?
Good evening. Relating to the whole Windows thing, I was wondering what you guys think about Atari Gem. Because I still got my Atari ST here, and I was looking to upgrade. Is there any new TOS out?
I think you.
Well, I don't understand what's funny here. I mean, this is still 1985, right?
No, sorry, you're in a time warp. That's what it is. It's no, I'm sorry, it's 2014.
Well, what about this Amiga that's coming out? What do you think of the Amiga?
No, I'm sorry, sir. You're in a time warp, and thank you so much for calling. But
I was trying to remember, which version of DOS do you need to install Windows 10?
DOS.
You remember that? You used to have DOS on before you had to put Windows on.
Yeah, exactly.
The caller would have remembered that.
Yeah. Those time warps can be a real pain, but sorry about that. Okay, so we have lots of calls, but I have a feeling that they're all probably trolls. So I'm gonna take
a good call. I like that.
It was a good call. It was actually fun. That was a good.
At least he was somewhat relevant.
But when your handle, here's one, his handle is Joke Fiend. I'm not sure that's gonna be.
That's a little bit of a giveaway, guys. You got to be a little better than that. That's.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I want to take.
I recommend. No, really, I'm a caller. 1 or something.
That was actually a good call.
That could have been worse. So one thing we can start getting into whenever you want, Craig, is some of the other features that we do know about in Windows 10 that they have announced and I've been playing with on the laptop.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, tell us a little bit about you, because you got some hands-on. You're one of the first people I know who's had, and because the Windows 10 technical release came out today, right?
Right.
You've had it for a little while, and you've been playing with it. And what's your opinion? What do you think, Mike?
Well, and some of the new features they've talked about, first of all, the biggest and most important thing that everyone's excited about is the new Start menu, and the fact that there is a Start menu, because, of course, the number one complaint about Windows 8 that everyone has is that they took away the Start menu. And the reason for that is because they really wanted to force people to use the Metro interface, and they wanted the Metro interface because it's touch-friendly. They wanted you to have the same interface if you were using a desktop computer or a laptop or a touchscreen or a phone or whatever. They wanted that universal interface across all the devices. And I like that. I understand the idea behind it, but if you're using a mouse and keyboard, and if you're a power user like what Ben said, the Metro interface just doesn't do it for you. And part of the problem with that is that all of the Metro apps were always full screen. You could put some side by side, but you couldn't really window them like you would want to. And the Metro interface was just too different for a lot of people. So they brought back the Start menu, not just the Start button like in 8.1, but the actual Start menu. And it feels very much like your Windows 7 Start menu, so Craig will feel right at home. Maybe not Craig. Ben will feel right at home. Craig's probably on the Mac. But it's half, if you look at the pictures or screenshots on it, or I can grab my laptop and show it on the feed a little bit here, but it's half traditional Windows 7 menu, and then on the right side, the other half of the Start menu is Windows 8 with the Metro buttons. So I think it's a great hybrid of the two. And you can customize the buttons, of course, move them around just like you would on the Windows 8 Start page, the Metro interface. I really like it. I think it's a great combination of both, and that way it makes it easy to use whether you're using a touchscreen or whether you're using a keyboard and mouse. I think it's a great compromise, and I think that's something that they should have done a long time ago, to be honest.
There you go. All right. Well, and you've had it only for a short time, so you as you experiment more with it, here's what I think. I think when you come back next month, next Wednesday in November, you'll certainly have a lot better feel for it, because you've only had it for a few, about a couple hours, right?
That's right, a couple hours. And there are some other things that are neat about it too. They added the snap features in Windows 8 and even before that a little bit, where if you drug a window over to the left or right side of your screen, it kind of snapped to that half of the screen. And now, whenever you do that, it automatically pops up some options on the opposite side to suggest what you might want to pop up on the other side. And there's a bunch of other little things that are nice about it. But nothing that's big enough that I would expect it to be a big version change. So, but who knows what will happen in the next year? They haven't announced the release date for Windows 10 yet. It's expected to be released sometime at the end of next year. I suspect, in time for the holidays of next year, of 2015. And I suspect we'll also see some new features coming out before then that maybe I'll be able to get more excited about.
So in this technical release, what you're saying is that they're not bringing anything new to Windows. They're trying to emulate with what we have with Windows so far. Is that what you're saying?
I think what they're trying to do is step back from the Windows 8 interface a little bit, where they were trying to push Metro so hard. I think they've had so much pushback on it that the Metro apps are still there, but now they're windowed, so they look like normal other applications, except they're touch-friendly. But you can minimize them and resize them just like you can any other window, as opposed to being stuck in that full-screen Windows 8 Metro interface. And it's just a lot of what I'm saying, I think, is that it's not a complete refresh and start over. I think they're just fixing a lot of the things that people have been unhappy with. I think there'll be a lot better acceptance of this. People won't be as scared of it, and I think it'll be a good thing. But I don't see any giant changes in it. I don't see anything that deserves to jump to giant version numbers.
Okay. Right.
I'm still upset about that.
Yeah. Maybe it was just the taking out of things caused it to, jump.
Maybe this should have been Windows 7.5. They should have gone back to.
But that in itself has a lot of negative connotation that I'm sure Microsoft wouldn't want. So, so it looks like it's going to be Windows 10, but sometime next year. But again, the technical release is out, the preview is out. You can try it for yourself. Mike Cermak is here with us. We're going to continue talking about this and other topics. You listen to the Computer America Show. It's Wednesday Madness on the Blog Talk Radio Network, on the Boost Radio Network, on the IRN Radio Network. We've got a new News Tips Bulletin from Marty Winston. That's all coming up. Stay with us.
Hey everyone, have you heard about the No hair removal device that's sweeping the globe? If you want to go weeks without shaving and get smooth, professional quality.
Thanks. Hey gals, I love talking about my No. It's this cute little hair removal system that you can take with you and use almost anywhere at home or on the road. No more expensive in-office treatments, painful waxing, and no more wasting your valuable time. Got unwanted facial hair? No has patented Thermocon technology that works on all hair and skin colors, so it's perfect for using on all body parts. And now you can take advantage of this incredible risk-free trial. Get the No, the facial kit, a travel case, and a $100 discount shopping card, and you don't risk a penny to try it. Try the incredible No hair completely risk-free. Call 1-800-953-5415. That's 800-5415.
Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal just for you. The mission is to protect and enhance the lives of companion animals and the people who love them. Their no-kill rescue shelter is open year-round, making it easy for people to adopt their best new friend. This year, Brother Wolf will find homes for over 2,400 orphan dogs, puppies, cats, and kittens. All have ended up as an orphan through no fault of their own. Brother Wolf has created a safe, nurturing environment where these special animals can heal emotionally and physically until they find a lifelong home. Their life-saving transport program brings dogs and puppies from overcrowded shelters in the South to rescues in the North where homes are easier to find. Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is a 501c3 organization. To learn more about their life-saving work and to make a donation, visit their website at www.bwar.org. That's www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
Buenos noches. This is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the Black & Decker 20V Max Swivel Hand Vac. 20V, as you might guess, stands for 20 volts, the power system behind this thing. And when you dock it on its charging stand, the new 20V Max cordless swivel hand vac from Black & Shoots. Push a button to swivel the snorkel nozzle for the job. apply the prep fuel in or out of the nozzle. We're still talking about everything in one place. Between the nozzle and the handle is a cylindrical dust cup with a cap you wash, or every 6 to 9 months replaced. A pre-filter and a filter that keep the captured dust inside the cup. The biggest plus in this product is the 20-volt lithium-ion battery that keeps the overall weight down while maintaining a higher voltage longer for better continuing suction that doesn't fade. Its small nozzle isn't for huge jobs, but it's really cool for drawing out dust from inside PCs, from keyboards, from atop monitors, and especially for putting the black back in all those dusty, dingy, graying wall warts and charging hubs on our shelves. Bottom line, the Black & Decker Pivot 20-volt max hand vac makes doing lots of small chores no big deal. This is Marty Winston with the News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. We have Mike Cermak here with us, and we're talking about Windows 10. And, for some weird reason, I had in my head that the Windows 10 technical preview wasn't available until, like, the 10th. Like 10, but I guess it's available today, right?
They should have done that. It is available today, but they should have done that.
Yeah.
10. I mean, Windows
or
10.
10 in the morning. 10, at least something. You have a 10 in there somewhere.
There's lots of 10. But so anyone can get this, right?
Yeah, anyone can get it. You can go to preview.microsoft.com to download it. It's about 3.8 gig or something like that. And the big thing to remember is that this is beta software. It's only going to be good through, I think, April, and after that you'll have to buy a key or reinstall. I guess at that point, you'll have to reinstall. But it's beta software. It's not meant for your average user to go and install and upgrade their machine. This is really just for PC hardcore users to use on a spare machine so that you're not relying on it.
Do you think, Mike, they're going to do what they did with the other when they did that before? When you pre-installed it, and the price you paid for is you couldn't add things. You had to literally take everything and clean your hard drive off. Remember that a lot of people were outraged. They bought the preview. They took the preview version. It was free, and then when the final version came out, there was no way for you to keep everything that you already had. Remember, you had to kind of reinstall.
Yeah, that's right, you did. I don't know if they'll do that this time or not, but I wouldn't be surprised. That's not uncommon with beta software, that there's not a clear upgrade path from the beta to the commercial version. That happens, and that's part of the price you pay for using beta software. And it'll crash, and there'll be some hardware that won't work with it, and there'll be some programs that won't be compatible with it, and you're using beta software. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
So why would people want to do that? Unless you're in the press or media?
If you're a big nerd, you're going
to get this. Even when you get the full version, you're still going to get this. So why do you want to subject yourself to even more of it?
Yeah. Well, if you're a big nerd and you enjoy this sort of thing and you want to see the cutting edge stuff, or if you're a developer and you want to see if your program works on it or write software for it, there's a lot of people who would want to get in and start playing with it. But like I said, you don't want to do it on your primary machine unless, as someone mentioned, you do it in a virtual machine. That's what I did on mine. You can, if you have Windows 8, with Hyper-V or something on it, you can do that, or you can get VirtualBox or one of those free ones that let you run inside a window, a different operating system. That's a good way to do it. That way, you're not screwing anything else up.
Someone in the chat room said the reason they're calling it Windows 10 because it runs for 10 minutes.
That's like the old joke with the Pentium. You remember that, Craig? I'm sure Ben doesn't, but Intel had the 286 processors and the 386 processors and the 486 processors, and then the Pentium processor. And when the first Pentium chips came up, there was what was the error called? The floating point error in it.
Oh yes, I remember that. Yeah.
And so a bunch of the Pentium chips had to be replaced because of this floating point error, which was really relatively rare to hit. But the joke was that they used a Pentium chip to add 100 to 486, and they got a weird number, and that's why they ended up calling it Pentium.
My recollection was that they actually came up with a software patch. You didn't have to change it up. The software would fix the problem.
They may have done that at some point. I very much remember having to replace chips for some of my customers back in those days, but it may have been dependent on the particular chip or something. I don't recall now. I think some of them at least had chip swaps, but maybe at some point they figured out that they could just patch it. So in any event, so I'm sure someone will come up with some joke like that. They used Windows 8 to add 1 to 8 and got 10, or something funny like that. But there are some other features I neglected to mention that we know about in Windows 10. Like they have multiple desktops now. And I think you've had this in Mac. I know we've had it in Linux for a long time, where you can have a set of windows open and then switch to another view, another desktop, and have another set of windows open. So you have all of your work programs, your business programs open on one desktop, and have all of your personal ones open on one desktop, and all of your internet stuff open on one desktop, and can switch between those. What's that called on Mac? Do they have a term for that?
Well, it was I think it was the multi-finder, but that was way back when.
But you still have that to some extent.
You can do that now. I'm just saying when it first came out, that's what they called it, the multi-finder.
Well, and the other thing that they added to Windows 10 that is somewhat stolen from Mac, I think, is Task View, which I'm told is similar to a feature called Expose.
Yes.
In Mac, where you can kind of see all of your programs and switch between them easily.
Yeah.
And so that's a new feature in Windows 10. I thought you might enjoy knowing that.
That is kind of
I think that they may have taken the idea from them.
Did you say Task Finder?
No, Task View is what they call it. And and so it's kind of a shortcut button on your taskbar you click on, and it brings up all the programs that are running in a nice little preview box. There's a way you could do that previously by using a Windows. There was a shortcut key to do something similar back in Windows 7, but I forget what it was now. No one really used it.
Expose makes it all these little windows that you can select from one from another, and you can see them all.
Exactly.
That's part of the it's not even a widget. That's just part of the operating system.
Right.
And
the same thing with 10 now. That'll actually be part of the operating system. I suspect there's third-party apps that'll do that even in Windows 7 or 8, but
it's so much part of the operating system that it's actually on the keyboard that you get from Apple. There's a little icon, not an icon, but a little drawing which actually shows you that it'll actually make it go into the Expose. So,
I'll bet there'll be a Windows shortcut. You hit Windows T or something, and it'll jump you into it. I don't know. I haven't tried that yet, but I'll bet I may be able to hover on it and it'll tell me that. And the other thing that's kind of a bigger thing for developers, but will make a difference to a lot of people, is that there's universal apps now. You can write programs for Windows that will automatically adjust no matter what type of device it's on. So if you write a program in this universal Windows way, then it'll run on desktop computers and resize to that screen. It'll run on tablets, it'll run on phones, it'll run on whatever Microsoft Windows 10 based device with one single code base. So you don't have to rewrite your program or recompile it or anything for the different devices. So that'll be nice for developers, and whether or not that'll make much difference with as few Windows phones as there are out there.
Well, they are calling it the technical release, so and I think that's for technically oriented computer users, because technically it's that kind of release.
That's right. Well, and like a beta release, it really is for tech people and geeks and people who want to mess with it. So, and the rumor is that it's going to be a free upgrade for Windows 8 users. The Microsoft president in Indonesia mentioned that it's going to be a free upgrade for Windows 8 users. That hasn't been confirmed by U.S. corporate Microsoft, but I wouldn't be surprised.
You think that's an apology on Microsoft's hat?
If they were to do that, it would certainly feel like an apology and like admitting that Windows 8 wasn't up to par. Yeah, I think so.
It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Go ahead, Ben.
No, it's not an apology. It's Windows 8. How much did that cost that release? I think that was either the $20 or the $40. Like, Windows is more and more going to the Apple model of cheap operating systems. They're not making their money on that, and they want people to they're not setting that pay barrier way up there. So if it's $20, if it's $10, if it's free for recent customers, that's just what it is. It's not it's not an apology, it's not anything like that. It's just operating systems are not where they're charging money anymore.
Well, and I think Microsoft makes a good bit of their money off of the new computers that buy licenses for it versus the people who upgrade old machines. That's probably a much smaller market for them.
Microsoft makes its cash cow is Office, and it always has been. They've always said that. Office is how Microsoft makes it, not on the Windows, not on the OS. They make their money on Office, and that's where their big thing is. So So for them to not necessarily give it away, but or to come close to that. Of course, Apple is in a totally different position because they're not only making the software, they make the hardware.
Yeah.
So they're making the money off the hardware.
And Microsoft is starting to pick up on that a little bit by trying to do the Surface.
Yeah, but how? This is the Surface Pro 3 now. It looks like a nice machine, but
it's not popular. I mean, it's out there, but it's not an iPad. I mean, it's not that ubiquitous yet.
Yeah, and do you think?
Oh, that's so mean that you say it like that. I mean, there was a big thing with the NFL where Microsoft spent bunches of money, $400 million or something like that, so that the NFL only was using the Surface tablet, and then the announcers were still saying, we're using the iPad here, iPad, and then not only were they caught doing it, but then about a week later they were still doing it.
Well, and people just don't know. A tablet, and that's something we were talking about earlier. It's almost become a universal term for tablets. People just say iPad sometimes, especially when they aren't technical people.
I wish I had been a fly on the wall in the Microsoft marketing office who came up with that idea, and to have those people hear them calling it an iPad on the air. I mean, they must have really fried. That must have roasted people. I'm sorry, but you're paying that kind of money.
But then again, it's not the announcer's job to do that. It's the marketing folks, and they can slip up. It's not like the announcers directly made the deal with Microsoft.
But they certainly should have been trained by someone. If that's a sponsorship, someone's got to. If Coke's paying me right now to be on screen, I'm sure as heck not going to say Pepsi.
For sure.
This is very true. I mean, it's important. I mean, sponsors. I mean, if you look right here, I've got Otherworld Computing there. That's our sponsor. See, and then I'm gonna call them Otherworld Computing or Maxwell.com. I'm not gonna call them something else. So.
Oh, I got a few.
Hey, before we run too close out of time here, I prepared another quiz for you guys.
No. Okay.
Are you ready?
Right.
I knew you were so heartbroken I wasn't here last month to be able to give you one, so I wanted to make up for it a little bit.
Yeah, I'll explain it again. This is quickly. Mike comes up with these quizzes that he asks Ben and myself to answer. And so far, what's the score? I think Ben's won 2 out of 2 or something.
I think that's right. Yeah, Ben, I think is up on you too. It's nice of you to allow him to do that, so that he feels like he really contributes to the show. And I think it was nice of you to do that and pretend to lose each time.
It's all I have every month.
So the quiz this month is Windows X, and it's questions generally about Windows and Bill Gates. And with each of these, we're going to have you guess a number, and whoever guesses closer is the winner of that one. 7 questions. So
who goes first?
Well, Ben won last time, so I think he gets to pick.
Okay.
Well, just like in racquetball, loser serves first. So, Craig?
Okay,
you're up first.
All right, Craig. So the first question is, in what year was Windows 1 first released?
Oh, boy.
1.0.
Let's see. Well, Mac came out in 1984, and Windows came after that, shortly after. So I would say 86.
That's a good guess. And Ben?
I'm going to say 89.
He's Googling it. It's not fair.
I saw the chat room mentioned that, but I installed some spyware on Ben's machine so that I can check and make sure. And he's an honest guy.
There we go.
Maybe I don't know him as well as Craig does. So Craig guessed 1986, Ben 1989, both very close guesses. The correct one is 1985.
Okay.
So Craig was off just by 1 year. That point goes to Craig.
Yay! Okay, wait.
Both closer guesses than I expected.
Yeah, we need to get applause. Okay.
There we go. There we go.
There we go. Jonathan said it was 1889, so I was the closest for that going over. So.
Steam power.
So, in 1985, when Windows 1.0 came out, how much did it cost?
Okay, who answers first? I guess I did because
Craig, you're first every time. So.
That's right. No, I go first. The person who wins. Okay, how much does it cost? It was 85. How much did Windows 1 cost? I would say it was $50.
And Ben?
Well, back then, gas was about 68 cents a gallon, I think. So an operating system can't be much more than that. Let's go with $79.99.
$79.99. Good guesses. The correct answer is $99.
All right, Ben wins.
Ben wins.
All right, okay.
Which is not bad when you think about it, and even today, 99 bucks. Wait, I thought they would be cheering for Ben too. Is
Yeah,
this
so did I.
It sounds like this crowd is a little bit biased.
Could be. All right.
Number 3. According to net market share, what percent of desktop computers are running any version of Windows? So according to this market share analysis, what percent of desktop computers run Windows, any version of it? And we're to Ben.
And wait, when was the survey taken?
Just 2 months ago.
I think Windows is down to like 91% or something like that.
Okay, and Craig?
I would say 89%.
The correct answer is 91.4.
Good answer, Ben.
Good answer. Both very close, but I like the strategy there that Craig was using. I could see that. You gave a nice courtesy year there.
Yeah, I gave a little courtesy.
In the same report, just 2 months ago, what percent of desktop computers were running Windows Vista, like my computer? And that's going to go to Ben.
How many computers were running Vista?
Yeah, the percent of desktop computers running Vista.
Oh my God, Windows 7 and XP took the majority of those. I think XP was at like 47%.
What a nerd! How does he remember this?
And Windows 7, I think, was making up ground. Vista had to be somewhere in the low 7 or 8s. I'm gonna say 7.
7? Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
7?
Probably lower though. Probably lower.
Correct.
I'll go one up. 8.
You went the wrong direction.
Oh no!
It was 2.9%. 2.9% of desktop computers are running Windows Vista.
That's it.
I don't know, Craig. You're in trouble here. It's 3-1.
Yeah, 3-1. Okay. Go ahead.
We've got 3 more questions to go.
All right.
Craig mentioned earlier, Bill Gates is still the richest person in America. He built many years ago the 66,000 square foot mansion, and it has how many bathrooms, Ben?
Oh, I know this is.
What do you mean you know this? Do you remember from your last visit?
Yeah, totally. No, I remember some of the mansion was like 102. I'm gonna say that one. Let's say 34.
34 bathrooms?
I should have said 64. 64-bit. 32. Well, let's make an even 32.
What, 32? Okay. Is that your answer's 32? Bathroom? Okay, I'll go 33.
You went the wrong way again. The poor guy is just scraping by. He only has 24 bathrooms in his house.
Oh, poor guy.
Poor guy. Only 24 bathrooms. Can you imagine that?
So, Ben, 4-1.
4-1. This is going to be tough here, Craig. I don't know about a comeback. We'll have to figure out if you get double points, if you get one of these straight on, just for sympathy.
There you go.
The changes in the Start menu are big news for Windows 10. But in what year was the Start menu first released? And that goes to Ben again. In what year did we first see the Start menu in a Windows release?
I remember 95 clearly had one. And if Windows, so I don't know, 93.
I think it was Windows 95. It was 1995.
You know, it's funny. I had written down Windows 95 here, but I just had to do a quick check to see when Windows NT came out, and it was released in 96. So I'm going to say 95 was correct.
It was 95.
I remember using 95, and it had the start button for sure. I just hadn't used anything prior to that, so I didn't know. So if I didn't know.
It's 95. Yep, exactly.
It's funny. I remember Windows 95 came out on August 24th, 1995, and I remember that because that's my mother's birthday.
Yeah, there you go.
Not 95 though, but I'll claim that it was. She'll appreciate that. The last question, and this is for triple points in order to get Craig to be able to play this at all. At least it's not for quadruple points. Windows 3.1 recommended 15 megabytes of free disk space for installation. How much space does the Windows 10 technical preview require? And this one's going to go to Craig.
Really? How many? I'd say 10 gigabytes.
10 gigabytes?
We just said this like 15 minutes ago, and yeah, and I don't remember the point, but it was like 3.96 or something like that gigs.
Now, 3.96 was the size of the download.
Oh,
Make sure we're clear. I'm asking the size of the how much it requires for installation.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why I'm helping him out. He's winning anyway.
Let's say 24 gigs.
24 gigs.
The number of bathrooms is equal to how many gigs you need.
Oh, good thinking. I like how you connected that. No, it's actually only 16 gigs.
All
so
right.
Craig gets that point. So it's a close one. It's 3 to 4 by my count there.
It's a 3 to 4.
Okay. Yeah, that was the last one. So that's our 7th question. So I'm afraid Ben continues on his streak. We're going to have to wait until next month to see if
Ben
we can
wins. Ben's the winner.
I don't know why, but yeah, I don't know why, but I've always had a pretty good head for market share, like market share, especially for phones and computers.
I'm going to have to keep that in mind during my next quiz and make sure I don't include too many market share questions for you.
Even the playing field.
That's right. And I'm going to include some more old questions, about
pretty much. Anything before 95, you're good to go with Craig.
Now,
which version of MS-DOS was?
Exactly. Now, tell us what's happening with TechGuy.org. I know, and tell us, our listeners who might not be familiar with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if they're not familiar, they should be. If you go to techguy.org, it's a free community of computer users and geeks and people like ourselves who want to help one another with computer problems. I was started way back in 1996. That should be a quiz question someday. Pay attention, Ben, Craig. 1996 is when I started it, and it was one of the first tech support forums. There's many of them out there now, but it was one of the first ones. It's a wonderful one. It's got a great community, and the slogan there, the motto is, "There's no such thing as a dumb question. They're just the easiest to answer." And we try to be very friendly to people of all skill levels. The problem in some forums is that sometimes people are a little bit harsh on newbies. We really make an effort not to do that, to try and make everyone feel welcome and friendly, and they can ask whatever question and you're not berated if it's a dumb question, and people don't yell at you and say just use the search box. They'll actually link to something helpful. And so go in there, check it out, and the thing about it is, as with a lot of forums, chances are you know more than someone else does on some topic, so you can probably help someone else out while you're there. And we have forums in there specific to Windows 8, Windows 7, Windows Vista. We don't have Windows 10 in there yet. I'll have to add that. And of course we've got Linux and Mac forums, web programming. We've got all sorts of geeks in there doing all sorts of different things. So chances are someone in there will be able to help you with a computer problem. And go in there and check it out.
Well,
it's all free, by the way. I didn't mention that. It's all supported by volunteers, and it's all sponsors. There's ads on the site, and there's nothing to pay for. It's all free.
Yeah, I mean, look at some of the topics. Security and malware removal is one form. Software and hardware, operating systems, internet and networking, general technology, and then community. These are some of the general topics, and of course, beneath those, you have a lot of different subjects again. And you're right, operating systems. You have Windows 8, 7, Vista, XP, Windows Server, earlier versions of Windows, Linux, Unix, Apple, Mac, DOS, and other. So you don't have Windows 10. You should probably start adding a Windows 10.
In the description underneath these things, I used to have little jokes. Like, if you look at the hardware forum, the description there says plug and pray got you down, peripherals, drivers, and overclocking. And, of course, I've had many people email me saying there's a typo there. It should be plug and play, not plug and pray. And that was just that was a joke from back in the day. And under Apple Mac, I used to have a little thing there saying about being fruity and using, apples, because I'm mostly a PC guy. And I had a lot of people who didn't like that, who thought that was offensive.
I know, you got a lot of hate mail.
And it's so funny. So I did remove it. It's very generic now. There really aren't any jokes in the descriptions now other than the plug and pray, I think. But
plug and pray is still there. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah. Other than that, and that I didn't get too many people who were offended by that. Just people who thought it was a typo. But so anyhow, you got to have a sense of humor with these things. You got to enjoy what you're doing.
Are you saying Mac users don't have a sense of humor?
Yeah, apparently not. Apparently they don't like being called fruity. I don't know what the problem is. Yeah, I forget exactly the way it was written, but it was a little bit disparaging because, of course, I'm not a Mac person myself. But
At least you put it in there. At least you put it in. I mean,
absolutely.
people.
Well, and it's certainly not our most popular forum. If you look at it right now, you can see the number of people in each forum. There's only 15 people in there at the moment, as opposed to, Windows 8 or Windows 7 has 119 right now, for example. Windows XP has 188. And our most popular forum in terms of a lot of things, posts and things, is the virus removal. We have a lot of people always looking to try and get rid of viruses.
Maybe Mac users just don't know about TechGuide.org, and we need to let them know, that there's free.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're glad to help out. And of course, I'm aware that there's other forums that are specific to Mac users, and that's why we don't have a big following. But we have a lot of people who are in there, and we're happy to help with that as well if we can.
And you have Linux in there as well, so
Yep, absolutely. Well, and even if we have a lot of users like myself who are primarily Windows users, they know a lot about these other operating systems as well. I use Linux every day and can help with a lot of that, especially the basics. So, so yeah, you never know.
That's true. Well, listen, Mike, we're almost out of time. Again, I want to thank you. I'm so glad that you're feeling better.
Thank you. Me too. I'm glad you're feeling better as well.
Yeah, and but I didn't have it as bad as you did. I mean, yours lasted almost a month. Mine was just like a week, So.
Yeah, some kind of like a sinus infection is what I had. They still have me on antibiotics, but I'm definitely feeling a lot better than last month.
Well, we've determined that it wasn't Ebola.
I was going to say, have you been to Africa in the past?
Well, I promised Craig when I spoke with him earlier today that whatever it is, it's not contagious over the webcam. So you guys are safe.
Well,
I put some saran wrap over the webcam just to be safe.
There you go. That's always a good thing, saran wrap. Yes, exactly. Well, listen, it's always a pleasure having you here on the show, and thanks for the quiz, and Ben won again. I guess.
Well, let's just be fair here, Craig. You're not doing yourself any favors. If you can't tell, I kind of lay out what I'm thinking and how I'm going.
Yeah.
And you just kind of say, "What'd Ben say?" All right, one up from that. I mean, if this was The Price is Right, you'd be a jerk, but you'd probably be right.
Yeah. Well, the trouble is, next month I'm going to get a memo that there's a new rule on the program: no more quizzes.
Mike, thanks so much for being with us here, and we'll see you next month, okay?
My pleasure, guys. Have a good one.
All right, my friend. All right, coming up in hour 2, we'll have computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software. Another news tips bulletin review from Marty Winston. That's all coming up in hour 2 of Computer America.
Broadcasting live, it's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news. We're being beamed nationamerica.com. You got on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into hour 2 of the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. This is the Computer America Show, and I'm your host,
Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
Yes. By the way, Google Hangouts can keep adding new features, and I don't necessarily think that's a good thing, And it's just
You're right, Craig. You should totally do some social commentary on Google and how they're messing up everything.
Well, no. For example, I'm during the break, I mute my microphone. Now Google comes up and says, "Hey, your microphone is muted. You need to unmute it."
That's not new, though. That's not new.
I've never seen it before.
Skype does it, Google Hangouts does it, and I'm sure many other things with any kind of audio input, they also do it.
So how come when you mute your microphone, it doesn't tell you? Because
it's for extended periods of time, and if it's just for extended periods of time, or like your mic's really quiet, it's muted. I think it's from people just saying it's not working. I don't know what's going on, and a muted mic. It's one of those stupid things like the computer's not turning on. Is it plugged in? Oh, maybe, probably.
Well, which puzzles me because my microphone is also hooked into the computer, and the computer is making sound and audio, but evidently it can distinguish between the mic sound and the audio coming from the computer, which is really wide in. It's the same audio input into Google Hangouts, so I'm not sure how it can distinguish it, but evidently it does. Go figure. One of the mysteries of Google. Anyway, if you're just joining us, we had Mike Cermak here with us. He's still in the chat room, so if you want to visit him, you certainly can. But and we're going to continue having our open mic night, although, you know, we got really slammed with a lot of trolls tonight, but we got like 15 different calls. It's hard to tell.
No, they're all legitimate, but we're just so busy that we can't answer them all. Try again later.
There it is. Try again later. But we will keep the phones open. 347-884-8881. They'll get you on to get you through. So, as I said, we have another news tips bulletin review from Marty Winston. We have 2 of those every single week. We're going to have that. I should probably just take a moment here to mention, it is now official, we have a brand new sponsor here to the Computer America show. We'll give you more details to it. But Ben, you know who that is.
No, I wasn't informed at all. What's going? No, stop, no. This did not get the thumbs up from me.
No, it doesn't? Okay, don't mention it yet?
No, you can mention it. I'm interested in knowing who it is, too, because I don't know.
Well, they were a guest on the show just recently. Doodle.com is a brand new sponsor.
Oh, yeah, they make poodles.
Yes, to the Computer America show. So we want to welcome them to the family of advertisers and sponsors here on Computer America, and we'll hear more news about it. They're actually scheduled to be on the show on the 28th of October to come back and talk about Doodle Premium, and we're going to have a lot of interesting interaction with them. So again, congratulations to them, and thank you so much for being another new sponsor here on Computer America. Okay. Anything else you want to mention before we get started doing our news program, Ben? I know you.
No, I think we're good to go.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, then we'll do it. Let's do it. Tonight's Computer and Technology News is brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. You can visit them at slimwareutilities.com to clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system for free. That's right. Everything at the slimwareutilities.com website is completely free. They're not freemium products. They're not crippled in some way, you know, until you pay them. None of that. They are completely free. We suggest here at Computer America, where we use all of them, to download all of the Slimware Utilities products, their Rec Image, their backup software, all the products, because they will truly clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system. They'll do it extremely. You should have them running at all times, but even if you don't, just keep them in your toolbox and use them when you need them if you have to. But we suggest that you let them run at all times because they do a lot of the work in the background, so you won't need them, right? Because they're doing their job, right? But download them all. As I said, they're completely free. You'll be very happy that you did that, and you'll thank us for it. SlimwareUtilities.com. Okay, so we're doing some computer news, and according to Ars Technica, Verizon Wireless is caving to FCC pressure. It now says that it won't throttle back 4G users. In other words, Verizon kills the network optimization policy that was set to take effect today. Okay. According to the story, Verizon Wireless was scheduled to begin throttling certain LTE users today as a part of an expanded network optimization program. That's in quotes, network optimization, unquote. But it has decided not to follow through with the controversial plan after criticism from the FCC came through.
And you missed something there. It's not the network optimization program, it's the quote-unquote network optimization.
It's the quote unquote network optimization.
Because, I mean, if you really think about it, how is, okay, we're going to throttle people who use 4G. How is that optimizing the network when everyone using 4G is going to see lower connection speeds?
Yes. Now, when we say throttle, we don't mean to physically hit you. You know, we're talking about slowing down the speeds. Okay. So, since 2011, Verizon has throttled 3G users who use their unlimited data plans when they connect to congested cell sites, if they fall within the top 5% of data users. That's 4.7 gigabytes or more per month. Okay, so in July, Verizon announced plans to extend this policy to 4G users with grandfathered unlimited data plans starting in October. But Verizon pulled the plug today, announcing its decision in a statement to Ars Technica and other media outlets. Here's the quote: Verizon is committed to providing its customers with an unparalleled mobile network experience. Okay. At a time of ever-increasing mobile broadband data usage, okay, we not only take pride in the way we manage our network resources, but also take seriously our responsibility to deliver exceptional mobile service to every customer. We greatly value our ongoing dialogue over the past several months concerning network optimization and have decided not to move forward with the planned implementation of network optimization for 4G LTE customers on unlimited plans. Exceptional network service will always be our policy, and we remain committed to working closely with industry stakeholders to manage broadband issues so that American consumers can get world-class mobile service they expect and value, unquote. Verizon will presumably continue throttling 3G users. There is no change in the 3G policy, a Verizon spokesperson said. All major carriers throttle certain users when cell sites get too congested, but Verizon and consumer advocates objected.
No.
I mean Wheeler, the FCC, spokesperson, and consumer advocates objected to how carriers choose which customers to throttle. Okay. The fact that Verizon was throttling only unlimited data users showed that it was trying to boost its profits rather than implementing a reasonable network management strategy, Wheeler said. Verizon no longer offers unlimited data and wants subscribers to switch to more expensive plans with financial penalties for using too much data. As we noted earlier this week, this is according to Ars Technica, carriers are willing to let customers use far more than 4.7 gigabytes of data per month without being throttled, as long as they're on a limited plan that requires them to pay overage charges. We're on that here in AT&T. I think we get 10 gigabytes. We share that, but we all get 10 in the family, the mobile plan that we have.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that either.
Well, Wheeler, again with the FCC, praised Verizon's announcement. He said, "I salute Verizon Wireless's decision. This is a responsible action, and I commend Verizon's leadership on this issue," he said in a statement sent to the media. So, there it is. Verizon Wireless not throttling back. So, you agree with? I mean, it's nice, but how are they going to make their money? Are they going to charge? They're not doing unlimited plans anymore, Ben.
Let's put it this way.
Uh-huh.
Verizon, I don't think they're struggling. I think if they kept status quo, they'd still be making money from all the plans that they're selling, from all the services that they provide, from subsidizing phones, and just from all these people. It's that quote saying that it's just Verizon trying to maximize their profits. That is probably very, very true. Maybe if they got some of these grandfathered in service plans that are unlimited data as opposed to the pay by the gigabit, which a lot of people, or which you can only buy now. You can no longer buy the unlimited data. If they had enough of being throttled because they were quote unquote unlimited, then they would, then I guess Verizon's hoping that they would, forfeit their unlimited data and instead switch to an unthrottled, pay by the gigabyte service plan instead. I'm sure that's what they were, initially hoping, and it probably would have worked if they didn't reverse the decision because they got so much backlash from it.
Well, it really is. It's smoke and mirrors. You tell people, hey, you're gonna get unlimited data, but then in the fine print they say, yeah, it's unlimited data, but we're gonna throttle you back if you're using more than 4.7 gigs. So.
Yep.
That's the catch-22. So we're going to throttle you back.
And again,
but they said no, that they're not going to do it. But go ahead. You were going to say?
Yeah, and first thing, 3G, not 4G. So if you have an older phone that only uses 3G, you are getting throttled. You cannot consume as much data as a 4G user can, but 3G, you still are getting throttled. And the second thing is,
why are they throttling 3G if they're not using as much because they physically can't use it because it's a slower speed, yet they're still getting throttled? What is it? Is it still causing more overhead for Verizon for 3G users than it would be?
Because back when they passed the whole throttling of 3G thing, they were making cases and people kind of nodded their head and said, okay, and they were able to sneak it through without there being backlash. I mean, they just tried to do the whole 4G into what they've already done to 3G, but there was a big enough backlash because people, I think nowadays, are savvy enough to know that 4G is your internet connection when you are not connected to Wi-Fi, and you don't want to be throttled when you have that. So 3G, the damage is done there. They're being throttled. That's what it is. And the 4G, luckily they were avoiding it. But I mean, the big thing here is that they're only throttling you if you quote unquote fall into the top 5% of users. Now that means 4.7 gigabytes per month. Now, Craig, you have an iPhone.
Yes, I do.
It does things.
It does.
I don't know how often you use it without a Wi-Fi signal, but do you know how much data that you could reasonably use within a month if you were not connected to Wi-Fi?
I can actually follow that.
The iPhone and most Android actually, in their settings, they'll let you actually track how much you use per month.
Or you can go to the AT&T website, for example.
Or you go there, but most of the time it's also on your. They tell you very plainly how much data you have used and how much you can use.
Exactly. Okay.
And I mean, personally, when I first started going to school, and the Wi-Fi is rather shoddy there, so 4G was picking up a lot of the slack. In 1 month, I was able to use 8 gigs of data.
Wow.
And so I would fall into probably the top 2%. And if you ask me what I did, I have class twice a week, so for probably about 8 hours a week, I have downtime, and I take my phone out and I browse the internet. And that's loading web pages, loading pictures, maybe some GIFs, maybe a video here and there. Not, I'm not continuously streaming video or anything. I'm just, surfing the web.
You're talking now?
For 8 hours a week, and I hit over 8 gigs a month.
That was way back when, not now, right?
No, that's now.
Now, well, don't they have Wi-Fi though in the school? Why aren't you just?
It's shoddy at best, like I said.
Really, it's shoddy.
Really, shoddy at best.
Wow, I'm surprised to hear that.
Yeah, there are many dead zones. So I'm sure people out there can relate to some extent, but by being but I'm just saying twice a week for 4 weeks, and 4 hours a day, that's not that much, I wouldn't think. And yet you are securing yourself in the top maybe 2% of cell phone users out there, and would therefore be subjected to throttling if you were on the all-you-can-eat buffet plan.
Okay. Well, we are not. We are on the AT&T mobile mobility. Is it mobility something?
Yeah, whatever the family plan is with the 10 gigs a month.
Yeah. So you don't like that. Why don't you like that?
Like what?
You don't like that plan, you said. Why don't you?
Yeah, because in 1 month I was able to rack up 8 gigs, and if it's 10 shared between 4 people, maybe even 5 people, that's not leaving a lot of headroom for other people because I'm greedy and I need all I can get. So
I haven't noticed. I need to go to the AT&T site and check it out. But yeah.
But I mean, let's say you have a typical a typical nuclear family. You have two parents, 2 kids, boy picket fence, dog does not use cell phone. You're actually giving yourself 2.5 gigs of data apiece, and that's not that much. That's definitely not that much.
Well, so that's why you don't like that.
So even if the number 10 gigabytes sounds like a lot, you realize that you have to split that between 4 people. Sometimes even 5.
Now I know that when I look at it, my usage is under a gigabyte. It's like about 12.
That's because you are, I won't say shut in, but you are connected to Wi-Fi a lot.
Yeah. Now, how does that affect the, what is this, with new OS 8.0.2, whatever it is now, supposedly you can make phone calls over Wi-Fi, which would reduce your data. Now, I don't know if that's only for the iPhone 6 or if that's anybody using OS 8.0.2, whatever iOS. I don't know if that's in the iOS or if that's in the phone itself. Do you know, Ben? Because you can
that you can make calls over Wi-Fi, right?
Yes.
That has nothing to do with anything. If you're connected to Wi-Fi, the phone companies don't give two craps. It's Wi-Fi is not even. They're not interested.
Okay, so but you're not eating into your data plan, is what
you're not eating into your data. You're not eating into your minutes. You're not eating into your text. Wi-Fi is its own thing, and honestly, that's what they prefer you to use because that leaves their cell towers completely out of the equation.
Yeah, and I can't remember which if it's the phone or if it's the operating system on the iPhone now. But supposedly, even if you're talking on Wi-Fi and you go out and you're still on the phone, it'll actually hand you off to the 4G LTE system, which is nice. And then when you go back into your home or to a Wi-Fi, it'll hand it back over. You won't even hear a hiccup, which is kind of cool. But I can't remember if it's with the phone or if it's with the operating system, so I don't remember. But as you say, as long as if you're using Wi-Fi, then it doesn't eat into your data usage. So anyway, but according to this story, Verizon has caved into the FCC pressure. Says it won't throttle 3G users. So,
and that brings up another small thing is that the FCC they were they were receiving the bad end of the press back when net neutrality was still being pushed and is still being pushed. It's public comments gone. Now they have to make their cases go through the comments, and they're gonna pass regulation depending on however they feel best. Mm-hmm. But Chairman Wheeler, if you do not remember, was actually a high-ranking executive from AT&T. From Time Warner. Tom Wheeler actually was like CEO or COO.
Yes.
He was a high-level ranking member of Time Warner. Mm-hmm. So that's when he got like the not the Jon Stewart, the British guy. Where he's talking about it's like hiring a dingo to watch your baby.
Exactly.
And that kind of thing.
And the whole
Yeah. Pretty much. So, Tom Wheeler, he's, I don't know if this is just like one of those easy lowball things where it's like, oh yeah, this is easy press, we're going to take this out. But so far, this decision, I think everyone likes from a consumer standpoint.
I don't see a downside to it. Do you?
Yeah. So credit where credit is due. Verizon was trying to make a quick buck, and Tom Wheeler, even though he has worked for these companies, he did not just blindly pass this through to help his buddies. It is definitely a good decision for consumers.
Well, that was the big fear, that he was going to help his buddies and basically screw.
Well, then again, cell phone and ISPs are different.
Yeah,
so.
Well, obviously, so far so good.
From this one, at least. From this one.
This one. Okay, so there it is. So if you have Verizon, by the way, what do you think of the Verizon that's saying they'll buy your AT&T or whatever other service that they'll buy it and give you a free iPhone 6? What do you think of that?
Oh, are you talking about the ones that like you're locked into a plan and they'll pay off your fees and they'll bring you over?
And they'll bring you over, and give you a free iPhone 6.
It sounds like the opposite of money down. Instead, you're bringing bills up. So I don't want to say what your monthly rates are going to be, but it's probably going to be much higher than if you waited the term out or bought it out yourself.
Yeah. And then I have this other thing. AT&T has this AT&T Next plan, which supposedly, if you subscribe to that, then when a new iPhone comes out, everything you get a free upgrade to it. You don't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
So.
Again, it's a marketing plan. It's a great plan. I mean, if you don't want to wait for your turn to be up, all you have to do is sign up for this one easy plan. You get a new phone, you get a new plan, you get a new carrier. Everything's right with the world. But you got to realize that your month, they're not going to take a hit just to get a customer. They're going to make their money back some way, somehow.
But whatever that way is, we don't know.
Well, we do know. It will reflect in your contract, your 2-year contract for so many months that you'll be paying this amount of money.
They'll be making it back.
They will make your money back. It's just not. They'll take the upfront hit, but they'll make their money back over the 12 months.
Yeah. Well, there it
Which
is.
I had a friend.
Mhm.
Speaking of infuriating arguments, or however you say that word.
Infuriating.
Whatever. He was convinced that Apple sold Verizon, AT&T, Sprint. I don't even know if Sprint's still a carrier. All these carriers, that Apple was selling iPhones 6 and 6 Pluses at a much, much lower cost than they were to the general public. Like, they weren't subsidizing at all. And I had, a 30-minute conversation with him trying to convince him that, no, Apple sells their phone at full cost to everyone. They don't have reduced cost for Verizon. They don't have a reduced cost for AT&T. If you go and buy your Apple phone from Apple and then take it to one of these carriers and say, here, I have this phone. It's mine. Can I please get a plan for it? Your plan will be cheaper in the long run than it will be if you went to one of these carriers and said, give me a new iPhone and give me a plan and lock me in for 2 years.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yep, they're subsidizing it. Yeah, exactly. And you got to pay more. He was not familiar with the term subsidizing, and he did not think that was even a thing. He thought that Apple was just selling, their iPhone 6s for $300, to AT&T, and then it was all up to AT&T to make, as much money as they could. Well,
no, Apple makes their money by selling all their phones at full price.
Well, hopefully you opened his eyes to that.
No, he left. He left with his head held higher. You can't argue someone down from their point.
Okay. Well, yes, you can, but it takes a lot of effort.
It's not worth it.
Okay. All right. Ben and I are doing computer technology news, brought to you by Slimware Utilities. Ben, you have another story for us?
Yeah, sure. This one was actually a pretty funny one, and I hope the pseudoscience out there, no one bought into it, but if you did, I'm sorry to hear that. Apparently, a couple weeks ago, there was this thing called the iPant.
The iPant?
Yes, as in iPants or pants,
Okay.
and they were marketing themselves as like a diet solution, like a diet workout kind of thing, help you lose weight, and it's caffeinated underpants, won't make your butt smaller. It's weird. So the iPant, it was marketed as undergarments that were chock full of caffeine, aloe vera, and vitamin E that would absorb through your skin just by contact, and would give you caffeine and vitamins and healing supplements just by you putting on underwear.
But I understand it doesn't actually make your butt smaller.
Yeah, so apparently not. So, the FTC issued an enforcement order this week. 2 brands must stop claiming caffeinated underwear will make your behind smoother and slimmer. What did they do to get the FTC annoyed? And they have a quote here. The FTC complaint alleges the company deceptively advertised, marketed, and sold women's undergarments infused with micro-encapsulated caffeine, retinol, and other ingredients. The company made claims that wearing its shapewear would eliminate or substantially reduce cellulite, reduce the wearer's hip measurements by up to 2 inches and their thigh measurements by 1 inch, and reduce thigh and hip measurements without any effort. That's some pretty bold claims. So it's pretty understandable why some women would have wanted that to be true, but once again, the science and chemistry were just not there. It was all fake. So and the product label tag describes just what got into your iPants. The quote, revolutionary new anti-cellulite iPant from Wacoal, embedded microcapsules, the best solution of active ingredients, caffeine, retinol, ceramides, vitamin E, fatty acids, and aloe vera. Caffeine is a renowned active slimming agent that promotes fat destruction. Weird. So, and again, take 2 inches off your hips, 1 inch off your thighs, just a few weeks. apparently it's a seat of contention. Hilarious.
Yeah.
Just how far-fetched is the claim that you that you can caffeinate your behind? Can you actually absorb caffeine through your skin? The author made a quick call to his go-to person for the chemical, and her take on the pants was on a similar note. There is so much wrong with this. You can't just wear magic pants. So, caffeine is both water and fat soluble. That's how it gets into your skin. That also means that when you wash it, lots of the caffeine will be washed out with the fabric. Of course, it says you have to wear it for a couple weeks. We hope that you are washing your underwear more than once every couple weeks. So, the manufacturers claim that the active ingredient are still present after 100 washes. Seems unlikely. The initial concentration of caffeine in vitamins would have to be extremely high, or the ingredients are treated to be so non-soluble that they would then don't absorb through the skin. Mm-hmm. So the bottom line, after a public comment period, Norm Thompson Outfitters will pay $230,000 to $1.3 million.
Oh, and Wake Coal America will pay the 1.3.
Yes, that's right. So there's two companies; they're both paying both those fines. This seems to be a pittance, given that some underpants sold for up to $80 a piece. A variety of other manufacturers and retail outlets offer versions of Cosmo Textiles, weird, or clothing impregnated with cosmetic and drug ingredients. Researching the story was a trip down a freaky body-shaming rabbit hole. From a product description for the corrective belt, the active ingredient are caffeine and shea butter, and caffeine and mango butter. So apparently, it's not a new concept. It's not a unique concept. Apparently, many companies are jumping onto the bandwagon of infusing their garments with chemicals. I just thought it was an odd story. Thought I'd bring it to everyone's attention. Bottom
line, your underwear ain't gonna make you thinner.
Pretty much, there are no gimmicks, but they're definitely not in caffeine underwear.
No, definitely not. All right, you listen to the Computer America Show on the Blog Talk Radio Network, on the Boost Radio Network, on the IRN Radio Network. Ben and I are doing computer technology news, brought to you by Slimware Utilities. We have lots more stories coming up, and also a news tips bulletin review by Marty Winston. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 120,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy and major car companies filing for bankruptcy, Cover America Auto Care has announced revolutionary, inexpensive mechanical breakdown coverage that is now available to the general public to save consumers thousands on auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for drivers to call who own a vehicle that is less than 10 years old for a free 5-minute quote and to see if you qualify. The number is 800-483-2514. Drivers who are covered with this auto protection will not have to pay for a covered repair again. This is the auto coverage now sweeping across America at a fraction of what dealerships charge and is now available to the public by calling today. The number to call is 800-483-2514. 800-483-2514. That's 800-483-2514.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number. 1-866-663-MyTV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So, disable the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-866-663-MyTV right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99 and up to 4 rooms. And there's no equipment to buy. That includes your free HD TV upgrade, your free DVR upgrade, and your free professional installation. And the best part, the pristine digital picture and sound. Call 1-866-663-MyTV. So, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-866-663-MyTV. 1-866-663-MyTV. Disable the cable, cut costs, and get more. Call 1-866-663-MyTV. 1-866-663-MyTV.
Hello, this is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the Waterfall Audio Serio, that's S-E-R-I-O. Well, for anybody who follows our reviews of quality audio gear, and for everybody else who cares, our criterion is easy to say and hard to accomplish: acoustic transparency. By that, we mean that nothing should color or weight or distort or hamper every detail and every nuance you might hear if you are in the studio live as the recording is made. More audio transparency often, but not always, means a higher sticker price. It's also a claim you should never believe from a seller, and depending on how refined your own audio tastes are, or may not be, all of this may or may not make a difference. All of that is a lead up to our review of the Waterfall Audio Serio, an amazingly good small speaker with a design that looks more like a decor piece than a sound enthusiast's treat. It's a 5-inch by 5-inch glass frame surrounding a hefty 3-inch audio driver in an aluminum housing that makes the whole small. The specs, 150 watts peak, but 30 to 80 watts is their sweet spot. 87 decibel sensitivity, so good detail, and a response range of 180 hertz to 20 kilohertz. So they benefit from teaming with woofers, and we can confirm these are consistent with what we hear. These specs are consistent with what we hear. Now, when we were discussing LED emitters, we mentioned étendu and talking about the focal point of the LED and flashlights, where bigger emitters put out more light that's out of focus. The relatively small size of these speakers, the Serio, similarly benefits sound imaging, especially noticeable for stereo or surround sound. Serio is nimble enough to respond quickly on percussion and pluck strings are crisp and not the least bit muddy. They're wonderful at bringing out the detail within the audio. One warning, the price tag is right up there with the sound quality and, in our opinion, worth it if you're willing to spend it. Bottom line, the Waterfall Audio Serio is a small wonder in speakers for both the ears and the eyes. This is Marty Winston with the News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. 34 minutes past the hour. Thank you, Marty Winston, for that. We are doing computer and technology news brought to you by Slimmer Utilities.
You know,
And
I was looking at the speakers, this Waterfall Audio from Serio. I mean, they're beautiful to look at, but good God, they're expensive.
you pay for what you. Mark Maron. Have you ever heard of him?
No, I have not.
He is a stand-up comedian. He has a show on Fox, I think, called Maron. And he's a stand-up comedian, and he's a big audiophile. And he did a whole stand-up bit about how he went over to some famous record producer's house, and and he went into his listening room. Like, he has a whole room set up just to listening to music and different things. And on one wall he had like 11 Sony speakers or something like that, like really old tube amp speakers. And he's like, I do pretty well, and that's the one that they have, and that's the one I want. And I'm not his level of success, but I do well enough. And if he can afford 11 of them, I can afford one of them. And he goes up and he finds it, and he finally finds it in the store. And he's like, "That's the one I want. That's exactly the one I want. How much is that?" And he's like, $53,000. and he's like, I do well. And don't get me wrong, I could take out a new credit card and I could put it on it and I could pay off the interest. But if you don't have enough money to comfortably cover the expense of that speaker, nothing is going to sound right. You can twist all the knobs, but every time you listen to something, it's like, it sounds good, but does it sound like $53,000? It doesn't sound like that. Mm-hmm. So yes, they are expensive, and only buy them if you can comfortably afford them. Because you don't want to be listening to something and be like, yeah, it sounds good, but does it sound $5,500 good?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Ben and I are doing it's Computer and Technology News, brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. And I know it's my turn to do a story. You know, CD ripping has been around for a long time. That's the process where you get an audio CD and you like what's on it, and you use your computer to remove or make a copy of the music and put it on your computer. It's been around for a long time. But when you get a CD that you pay for from a music group, although that's happening less and less with digital, what have you, but still, it's illegal to do that unless you're using it for yourself or for personal use, and you're not selling, you know, the information. So, but it's been kind of dicey, to say the least. Well, evidently, the UK, which seems to be coming around, is evidently legalizing CD ripping and cloud backups today. Okay. So starting today, the UK citizens are free to copy MP3s, CDs, and DVDs for personal use. After an unexpected delay, UK copyright law was amended to legalize this common form of copying. In addition, the changes also broaden other forms of fair use, including parody and quotation rights. You know, if you did things with a sense of humor, you were protected. But evidently, till today, it wasn't legal. Now, to most consumers, it's common sense that they can make a backup copy of media they own. But in the UK, this has been illegal until today. After consulting various stakeholders, the government decided that it would be in the best interest of consumers to legalize copying for personal use. Earlier this year, the UK Intellectual Property Office announced that the changes would go into effect in June. However, when June came around, the most crucial changes were still pending parliamentary approval. These final issues were resolved this summer, and after a brief delay, private copying is now legal as of today, October 1st, 2014. This means that people are now free to make copies of DVDs, CDs, and other types of media as long as they're for personal use and without copyright protection. In addition, it's no longer copyright infringing to store copies of legally purchased media in the cloud. Another landmark. There's a quote here. It says, these changes are going to bring out IP laws into the 21st century. IP Minister Baroness Neville Rolfe says, commenting on the changes, they will mean that the UK IP regime will now be responsive to the modern business environment and more flexible for consumers.
That's a Hetty's the IP regime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The intellectual property regime.
Yes.
So I guess the long and skinny of it is you can now get, you know, I think what a lot of people were already doing, especially in the UK, is now illegal.
Yeah.
It's like what I mean. Let's face it. You know, if you have CDs, but you have an iPhone or an iPod, you know, you're not going to carry CDs around with you. You're going to rip them onto your computer. You're going to put them in. You know, you're going to put them on your phone, and you're going to listen to them whenever you want. Mm-hmm. It's not like, you know, people were already doing this kind of thing. So it sounds like the law finally caught up with what people were doing.
That's right. As is always seems to be the case. I mean, you know, look at the prohibition here in the country. You know, people were already drinking anyway, and then they tried to make it illegal, and that didn't work. So,
but especially with technology, I don't think we're ever going to get to the point where governments are ahead of the curve.
No, I don't think so.
On technology. I mean, the closest they ever came was with the internet and setting up the the WC3 or whatever it is.
What was that?
Because the internet was originally a U.S. government program.
ARPANET.
Yeah. Well, that was a pre-internet. Mm-hmm. But then they realized that the government should not have control over this, so then they kind of spun it off and gave it its own agency. To look over this. That was, no one country owned it, no one country managed it. It's the same people that hand out the domain names, and
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
handle all that. So, that's the closest that the government's ever come to being ahead of technology, where they kind of set themselves back and did not mess with it. But it's good here, at least in the UK. Again, this is not in the US, so don't try, taking them to court over UK law. But it's good. I mean, it could happen here eventually, soon enough.
It says the changes aim to fix the mismatch between the law and public opinion. A government commission survey previously found that 85% of consumers believed that DVD and CD ripping was legal already, while more than 1/3 of all consumers admitted that they had made copies of media they had purchased. Now, beside the new private copyright laws, the upcoming amendments will also broaden people's fair use rights. Okay, you understand what fair use right is, right?
Yep, that is what lets Weird Al do what he does.
Okay. In other words, people no longer have to ask permission to quote from or parody the works of others, such as a news report or a book, as long as it's fair dealing and the source is recognized. Okay. For the public, the amendments are certainly a welcome change from the more restrictive copyright laws that were previously in place. Now, for those who are interested, a full overview of the upcoming changes, you can actually read them, and they have a link. And there's an update to the story. This again from this website, TF. Tip is off. The time-shifting reference was removed from this article, as that was already allowed under a previous amendment. Apologies for the confusion. So there it is. Okay, so there it is. So basically, now you can legally rip CDs and DVDs and make cloud backups as of today, if you live in the UK.
Yep, which again was just, public opinion was already there. It's just the law catching up with what people were already doing. All right, well, I'm going to do something a little bit out of the usual for technology news that we do, and we have 4 stories that I've kind of cherry picked that are really important, that are only getting older and older day by day. So I really want to get these out of the way real quick.
Okay.
And this one happened yesterday, and the big news here was that eBay, little e big B, will spin off PayPal into a separate company.
Yes.
If you didn't know that already, PayPal was eBay's bread and butter and how they accepted money and dealt with all their customers. And so the two were tied in, intrinsically. So this is big news because they've been asking for this for a while, and they said no, but they finally did it, and now the future of PayPal is no longer the future of eBay, and vice versa. So, the split is something that activist eBay investor Carl Icahn had been fighting for since earlier this year, arguing that separating the eBay online marketplace from PayPal would not only return value to shareholders, but would also make both companies stronger.
By the way, it's Carl Icahn, by the way, in case.
Icahn, there we go. Which is true, because, I mean, if PayPal was, if they wanted to spread their business to other eBay-esque services, they couldn't do that originally because eBay owned them. But now PayPal is free to sell their stuff and be used in more places. Even though PayPal can be used in many places already, they can now fully pursue getting PayPal into as many facets of our lives as possible. And eBay can focus on just being the great little online retail consumer to consumer, end that it is.
But they're not going to take out the integration, are they? I mean, that's one of the things I liked about eBay, because you could take care of PayPal, you could be paid right through eBay. You didn't have to leave the website; it was all kind of integrated. Is that going to go?
No. They're still integrated. It's just you're going to see even more integration of PayPal into other sites. So eBay and PayPal, they're still they're still twin brothers. It's just they were they went two different rooms. They're still completely compatible, simpatico, all the good stuff. It's just the future of either one is not tied into the other one.
Well,
this is very big. This is very big news and very good news.
Yeah, but as one who sells a lot of the things on eBay, one of the things I feel like I'm getting dinged at both ends because I get charged by eBay for selling something, and then I get charged by PayPal for selling something. It's two different charges.
Well, they both have to make their money.
Yeah, well, boy, oh boy, you should go to work.
You could have made that argument because before this happened, because eBay and PayPal were both the same company, but now they're not.
Yeah, so now you're gonna have to.
So now it definitely does not fall in your favor.
Yeah, so you're gonna pay for both ends if you use them. And then again, it takes you 3 days to collect your money. 3 business days after you get paid. It takes 3 business days. You get the money immediately, but it takes 3 business days.
You can make every complaint you want. They are currently being used by 138 million people across the world today.
But I can still vent. I can still say that after I get my PayPal money, in order for me to see a nickel of it, it takes 3 business days to transfer that money from PayPal into your personal checking into your banking account. 3 more days.
And yet, I bet because PayPal is so secure, they have that reputation for being very, very secure. I'm sure that 3-day goes a long way to helping make sure that eBay is not that PayPal is not compromised.
No, I think it's just they get to play with your money for 3 days and all that.
Yeah. Okay, that's it. So they have a weekend at Bernie's with your money. Got it. All right. So that was one story. Next story.
Next story. That's it?
I said I need to get these 4 stories out before they get old.
Okay, all right, go for it.
Okay, whatever. The next one was crackdown on spying app leads to Stealth Genie CEO's arrest. So if you haven't been paying attention, this one from Engadget, and apparently the U.S. government is now on a mission to bring down mobile applications offering spyware services, which, for a variety of well-documented reasons, simply seems to be kind of ironic. Controversy aside, though, the Department of Justice, the DOJ, revealed today that Ahmad Akbar, CEO of Stealth Genie, has been arrested in Los Angeles and charged with conspiracy, advertisement of a known interception device, advertising a device as a surreptitious interceptor device, and sale of such a device. Stealth Genie, which has been available in iOS, Android, and BlackBerry, was well known for providing an app capable of monitoring someone's calls, texts, and photos, as well as tracking their location and more. Stealth Genie wasn't shy about that either. A quick glance at Stealth Genie promotional video found after the break of the article sums up the ideas behind the application and the consumers it targeted. So, as the DOJ points out in its briefing of the situation, the app was undetectable by the user who were being spied on, which made it rather easy for Stealth Genie's creepy magic to go untraced. Interesting enough, Akbar's criminal case is the first one ever having to do with the advertisement and sale of mobile spyware. And something tells us we're going to see more of this type as people adopt new technology like smartphones and tablets. So, I guess the big thing here is, yes, the gentleman was a CEO. Yes, he had a business, but unfortunately his business was selling creepy software that would, all that spyware that you visit techguy.org to get off your computer. This guy was selling it in broad daylight.
Okay, we lost our connection to the BTR host. We're still on with Google Hangouts, and we're just coming back.
Since it appears you're calling back into a live show, we are reconnecting you now.
Okay, and we're back.
All right. So, welcome back. Sorry about the little interruption there, but to sum up what I was just saying, this gentleman who was the CEO of Stealth Genie was just arrested. First one of its case, where, yes, he is a CEO of a quote-unquote legitimate company, but unfortunately he was selling all the apps that are, what is wrong with, that you have to install firewalls and antivirus and anti-malware. He was selling that kind of software in the public, and now he is under arrest, which is a first for this kind of thing. So, that was also big news. So, don't be surprised if you see more of that. And then 2 more, one of them being, Craig, have you ever seen Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon?
Yes, a long time ago. I did see it. So,
you have fond memories of it, correct?
Not really.
Pretty good kung fu movie.
It was subtitled. I wasn't crazy about it. It was okay.
Oh no, you had to read for a couple hours. Okay, so we all know Netflix is huge into that they pretty much dominated television. They have television in their firm, Titan-like grasp, where they either pick up shows that are canceled and they start giving them new seasons again. Think Arrested Development, or they come out with some of their original content. Think House of Cards and Orange is the New Black, both of which are receiving great reviews. Well, now that they have television pretty much under their belt, they're moving on to movies.
Uh-huh.
And August 25th is going to be the first time Netflix is releasing their own independent movie. Not one that they farmed out to someone else and they're putting on Netflix. Netflix, the company themselves, has funded and produced the sequel to Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, called Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon: The Green Legend. So, and it will, and they say that it will debut the movie on its streaming services simultaneously with the movie's release in IMAX theaters across the U.S. next summer. It's a move content chief Ted Sarandos hopes will prove that studios that the sky doesn't fall if Netflix has earlier access to content. And these are two different experiences. What you see through Netflix isn't exactly what you see on an IMAX, which is very true. You don't get the same experience of going to a movie theater, sitting down in your seat, getting your way overpriced popcorn, and watching a movie than you do if you sit at home and watch it, in the comfort of your living room.
Mm-hmm.
So, there might not be enough of a difference for some movie theater owners, though. Regal, who owns many movie, who is the largest chain in the U.S., they own 86 IMAX locations, and Cinemark, which owns 14 IMAX, says that both of them will not be debuting the movie at all. They don't want to be a part, as they say, quote unquote, of some experiment where you can see the same content on screens varying from 3 stories tall to 3 inches tall. They don't want to be a part of that. They're purists, and they will have nothing to do with it.
Okay.
So, so the second Crouching Tiger movie will be co-produced by Netflix and the Weinstein Company, with Harvey Weinstein saying in a statement that it was unquestionably at the forefront of the evolution of the movie-going experience. So, long story short, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon sequel will be the first movie Netflix, that they're hoping it will, not only will it be a good movie and show that Netflix is capable of getting into making movies on their own, but it's also showing that, hey, what happens if movies are released, on streaming sites and in movie theaters at the same time? What are the box office going to look like? So, Greg,
yes.
What do you think?
I think it will be an interesting experiment. I think Netflix has to do something to branch out. Because doing original TV shows is great, and they've been very successful with that. Orange is the New Black and the House of Cards. They're doing extremely well, but they need to make it to the big screen. But it's interesting because Netflix primarily is not on the big screen. It's always been on the small screen. That's what they do. It's TVs and smartphones and tablets.
That's what they started with DVDs. So DVDs and streaming old content and streaming TV shows was where they're comfortable at.
Yeah, but now moving into this, into first-run movies, producing them. I don't see any reason, why they can't be successful with it.
I don't think it's so much that they're making movies. Great on Netflix. Hopefully they give more projects to more people, and we see movies that others won't take that Netflix will fund. Mm-hmm. So you get some variety in there. But I think the big deal is that Netflix will be streaming content the same day it's in movie theaters.
That's going to be. I guess movie theaters will have something to worry about because, as you said, AMC had no comment at this point. And that's that's the second largest theater chain in North America. They haven't commented about it.
Will they though? It's an experiment. But what if ticket sales because again, most ticket sales usually happen within the first 2 weekends. You know, that's what the box office records are. After 3 or 4 weeks, the money that they make is trivial. So if they can make as much money as a full-blown blockbuster in the first 2 weeks, I mean, why not? Why not have every movie that comes out in theaters also be available on streaming sites?
Aren't the people who own Regal smart people? But so why are they turning it down? Well, why are they not participating in the experiment?
They see it as a threat, a straight threat that movie theaters are in danger.
Yeah. I mean, that's their business. That's their livelihood. They see it as a threat. I mean, I can understand why they would think that.
But it could turn out that, hey, you get interest, you get the reviews, you get people saying this is really good. Hey, let's all go see it together. Let's go to the movie theater. You could get people, going to the movie theater just to experience it, on a grander scale.
But that's a big if. I mean, we don't know if that's going to happen.
They're trying though. It's an experiment, and it had to happen.
Maybe they'll try the experiment, and if they get great results, then maybe these larger theater companies will get on board. But until they see the results, until they see it specifically, they're not gambling with their company. I mean, I can understand that.
Showing one movie isn't gambling with their company, but it's they're turning their back on the whole experiment altogether.
Yeah.
Which I'm not a fan of.
Well, that's what I guess we don't own Regal.
90 seconds.
Well, we're just about out of time here on Computer America. Thank you so much for being with us here tonight. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Coming up tomorrow night, Crestron is going to be here. I'm looking forward to the show tomorrow. Crestron. We actually have Crestron, a Crestron system in our home, in our Carolinas home. And I'm looking forward to taking it. Crestron makes home automation systems. They have something brand new called the Ping, P-Y-N-G, which is the brand new system that they're going to be introducing. Crestron has been known for home automation for years. Very costly system, but extremely well. But, of course, with all this new technology, I guess they have to do something to maintain, keep up with all these new apps that are coming out for touchpads and what have you. So they're going to be on tomorrow. We're going to have Tom Barnett, Director of Marketing Communications from Crestron. And then in hour 2, we'll have more computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities. Again, I want to thank Mike Cermak for being here in the first hour. So until tomorrow night, this is Craig Crossman hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Good night, everyone.
10 seconds.
Your timing seems to be a bit off, Craig.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Yeah, it was Blog Talk Radio that was off. That was when we came back on. We lost a few seconds. I'm not sure what that was. Anyway, we're still on Google Hangouts, and thank you for watching our live computer video streaming. Again, brought to you by Otherworld Computing. Right there. I keep messing it up. There it is. And Ben and I will see you tomorrow night. Thanks for watching.
Good night.